Why do I get heel pain in the mornings? A very, very common question. Do you wake up in the mornings and you hobble out of bed? You wake up in the morning and you're sore and stiff and it hurts right through that region there. And after a few minutes of walking or even half an hour of walking, it starts to warm up and you start to feel better and you get going. Make sure you watch this video. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to give you a top tip to try and get rid of it, and also further resources if you can't get rid of it yourself, and a great special offer if you watch this video. So my name's Daniel Fitzpatrick. I'm a podiatrist at Sydney Foot Solutions. Sadly, I've been a podiatrist for over 20 years, so that reflects my age. We deal with heel pain and plantar fasciitis all the time. And so one of the most common textbook things that we hear all the time is, I get heel pain in the mornings. Why do I hobble out of bed? And it's a really textbook common type of scenario that people will get that. So the reason you get that after you sleep or after rest is there's a couple of different reasons. So to explain that properly, so your plantar fascia, or the cause of your heel pain, is plantar fasciitis. And plantar fasciitis is, your plantar fascia is this big, tough piece of tissue that has micro tearing through this area here, and it bleeds and it gets quite sore through that area. So what your body does is that because of all of the steps you've taken the day before or the weeks before, what happens is you get this micro tearing and this inflammatory response through the actual plantar fascia, and it usually manifests itself around the attachment point of the plantar fascia. And if you are getting heel pain, 90% of cases that I've seen, it's heel pain. It's plantar fasciitis, sorry. And so what I would say is that it's extremely common, and the good news is it's very fixable in a whole range of different ways. But what I would say is that the reason you get it so much in the mornings is that, so firstly, say you're getting to bed at night. So there's two things that your body definitely does. So one is that you've got to remember that your calf muscle via your Achilles comes down and attaches into a similar area with the plantar fascia, and it puts a great deal of tension and tightness through that actual area. And so as a result of that, it's tightening constantly. And when you sit and rest, or particularly when you're in bed at night, what do? You sit there with your foot flexed. You tend to tighten up your legs. So what you tend to do is, when you're lying there, so if you get my foot in, you tend to sleep like that. And what that does is it creates a great deal of tension through here, which puts pressure inadvertently into your plantar fascia. And by putting pressure into your plantar fascia, it's tightening up those tissues. So because it's tightening up those tissues and you're lying there for 4, 6, 8 hours, whatever it might be, sadly, we don't all get enough sleep, but what tends to do is it tightens it, it creates stress through that area. And so what happens is you get up in the morning and you're quite stiff in the backs of your legs and quite stiff through the plantar fascia. So you hobble out of bed in the morning. So the reason you start to feel a little bit better once you get moving is you loosen it up, and your body loosens up some of that tension and that tightness. So a really great tip to do is stretch your calves like crazy in the mornings. So one way you can do that, just as a side note, is find yourself like this, pop one leg back and lean in and hold it for 30 seconds and do that 3 times. All right, I know it's a fairly basic exercise, but definitely just stretching your calves alone can help. It's not going to fix your problem, but it will help with the pain in the mornings. So the other reason is that what your body is doing, it's saying, great, so he or she is asleep, let's send lots of blood down to the area and try and heal the area, because there's tears and there's inflammatory response. So your body is working really hard to try and heal the area. Unfortunately, the 4, the 6, the 8 hours, the 10 hours in some cases that you are sleeping just isn't enough to fix the actual area itself. So there's this huge pocket of inflammatory response and blood in there, in a good way, sitting around that area. The problem is that you finish your sleep patterns, and this healing cycle, by the way, just as a side note, tends to peak about 3 o'clock in the morning. And what happens is that you get this massive influx of blood. And so you get up in the morning, you're like, whoa, that really hurts, wow. And so the reason it starts to feel better after a few steps, even though you hobble out of bed, is that your calf muscle is the second biggest vascular pump back up towards your heart. And so what it does is it clears that blood back up towards your heart and actually clears the inflammatory response from around the area. It's still inflamed, the tears are still there, and it hasn't fixed the problem, but that's what you're feeling when you step up. And that's why you hobble out of bed and you start to feel a little bit better after that. So definitely stretching will definitely help. And the other real issue that I see all the time is that people don't seem to realize that they need to fix the underlying cause. So the reason you need to fix the underlying cause is because if you don't, the plantar fasciitis just keeps getting worse. And this rubbish that you see on the internet that, plantar fasciitis will fix itself. I've never seen anything in the research that says that if you have a legitimate case of heel pain or plantar fasciitis, that it will fix itself. I just have never seen that. So, and in my experience, that just isn't the case. The longer you put off treatment, the harder it is to fix, the more time and the more money it's going to take to fix. And the other thing is, just as a side note, you've got a 5-year window. So you've got a 5-year window. So if you leave it for longer than 5 years, so for every month you leave it, it takes longer. And you've got 5 years. So if you don't do something about it in that 5 years, you've only got a 4% chance of ever getting rid of it. And that's out of a recent article in the Sports Journal. So the reality is that you want to get on this sooner rather than later, one way or another. So it's basically, definitely try stretching your calves like crazy. Definitely go back in our channel. We've got heaps of great tips. Maybe try all of those. So if you try those for a month and it's just not working, then what I would suggest is you need to see someone to help to address the underlying cause. And you might say, well, what is the underlying cause? What's the big secret? Well, it's not really a big secret. Plantar fasciitis primarily is caused by the movement of your foot that is affected and affects the way you stand and the way you walk. So the way you stand and the way you walk causes you to compensate and puts more stress through the plantar fascia. It causes tearing through those tissues and causes irritation through those tissues. And as a result of that, we find that if you fix the way you stand and the way you walk, it makes a massive difference long term and corrects the underlying cause of the plantar fasciitis that you are suffering. So just keep that in mind. It's super, super important that you do something about the way you stand, the way you walk. And there's multiple ways you can do that. You can do that with off-the-shelf orthotics, improve your footwear, foot mobilization therapy, which is what we do. We are experts in strengthening, stretches, all of those things. If you'd like to know more, click on the link below. We've actually got a 60% off initial heel pain assessment offer. I'll put it in the link below. Also, make sure you check out our free report, our top tips to fix your heel pain long term. I'll put both of the links below. They're both great resources. So if you've tried this yourself and you want more help, make sure you check out both of those links. And as always, please, it would be great if you click like and subscribe to our channel. We love giving out information, and make sure you go back out and check out the rest of our videos so you can get more information to help with your heel pain.